everybody.
Welcome. Come on in. Welcome. It's Thursday, 2 o'clock. Must be tug time.
It's like Dr. Pepper. You remember Dr. Pepper used to have that 10, 2, and 4 thing? Yeah.
I know.
Evidently, you don't have to recover from as long on a Dr. Pepper, right? You do that 3 times a day. Man, we didn't even plan that. That's amazing.
That's how great we are.
That is amazing. Joe, I like your background, by the way. That Crown Verity grill in the background looks incredible.
Yeah, it beats the window shade that's actually behind me.
No.
Let's see, give it another minute or two for some folks.
That sounds good.
Yeah, another minute. Yeah, look at that, right at 2:02. All right, well, what do we say? You want to get started?
Absolutely.
Let's do this. All right, welcome. Thank you guys very, very, very much for coming along with us again today. We have another exciting one, and this is actually a first-timer, right? So we haven't done Crown Verity yet. But today we have Joe. Joe, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
That is positive energy.
That is good energy. I like it.
One of the last things Tug tells people is, hey, have good energy, right? It's important to have good energy. That was one of the best openers we've had.
You can tell when I think it's a little low, because I almost always will follow it with nailed it.
Exactly.
So if you hear me say nailed it, more than likely I'm saying it's a little bit low in the energy scales that I want. There's a little behind the scenes for you. Didn't know you're gonna get that, huh? So today we have Joe. Joe, how do you pronounce your last name?
Burgess. Yeah, if I was a proper Frenchman, it would be bourgeois, but I'm not. I grew up in Wisconsin, so we say Burgess.
Trickery with that name.
Up in Canada, right? Do you get Joe Bourgeois
all the time? All the time. People in Canada actually do know how to say my last name.
Okay. All right. So this is probably the first time a number of folks have seen you, so please tell us a little bit about yourself. Family, kids, school, whatever.
So I've been in the industry for a long time. Started out in 1986. I've been with Crown Verity for 17 years. Live in Vermont. I have two boys, 23 and 25. Got a dog, Miles, English setter, like the bird hunt. He's a pretty cool guy. Dog is way easier to deal with than the kids.
even though they're like 23 and 25?
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah. Like everybody says, enjoy them while they're young because they get to really be a PIA as they get older.
You say enjoy them while they're young. I have a 5 and a 9-year-old girls, and they're challenging, especially during COVID right now.
As mine are. Yeah.
Well, excellent. Joanne, did you hear that? Bird hunting? Expect a visit from Joanne. She's our resident animal murderer.
Cool.
How about a little interesting fact from you?
So here's an interesting fact. I grew up with 6 kids in our family. Grew up in Wisconsin, and as a kid, I had a lawn cutting business. And one of my clients was Bart Starr. And for those that are not of my age, you might not know who Bart Starr is, but Hall of Fame quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And as naive as I was, I didn't really understand who he was or how important he was to the NFL. And as dumb as I am, I never even got my picture taken with him. And I've known him for many, many, many years and cut his lawn for many years. Know his family, know his kids. And he was just another regular guy to me. And he's not a regular guy. He is so super cool. If you ever met him in person, you can believe it. He and his wife.
Did you at least get an autograph? Maybe on the
you know what? Even there, it was like embarrassing to ask because he was just. Yeah. No, I didn't.
He was your buddy.
Yeah.
The most genuine kind of friendship right there. He probably didn't have many of those.
I guess, but I'm still kicking myself that I never got an autograph picture of me with him.
So was it Green Bay or was it
Green Bay,
Wisconsin?
Green Bay.
I didn't know if he actually lived in town.
He did.
Cool. That is an interesting fact. that beats just about everybody else's. So you're winning. That, and you have fantastic maple syrup, I'm assuming, as well, right? You have access to just put a spout right in a tree right out back.
It's not quite that easy, but we just did have our annual update, and Vermont did produce the most maple syrup in the United States of America this last season, which is pretty amazing because basically nobody lives here. So,
small but mighty. Way to
yes,
go, Vermont.
We have a lot of maple trees.
So you said you'd been in the industry. What is the background? What were you in before?
So actually, I've always been in the food service industry since college.
Mm-hmm.
My first job out of college, I started working with Libby Glass,
Okay.
which was a great experience, fantastic company. From there, I went to work for Carlisle. Worked for there for quite a few years. From there, I ended up going to work with, at the time, which was Magic Kitchen, Pitco, Blodgett Combi, who then, while I was there, got bought by Maytag, and then while I was there, got bought by Middleby.
Right.
And then that's when I decided to come to Crown Verity, and I've been with Crown Verity for 17 years. Oh, I wish I'd been working with Crown Verity for my entire career, but a fantastic company, and I love it.
Perfect. How about a little history of Crown Verity?
Crown Verity is a family-owned company. Bill Verity owns the company. Everybody always asks him where the crown comes from, and he goes, "That's my wife. My wife's the crown. My last name's Verity." So Crown Verity, and it's been a family-owned company. Bill started the company, and we've been doing just great since he started, and going on 26, 27 years.
And we recently kind of moved into the U.S., huh?
We did. So it's been a long time coming, and we are extremely proud of the fact that our manufacturing facility is Brantford, Ontario. And if anybody follows hockey, you would know Brantford, Ontario is the home of Wayne Gretzky. I didn't know that. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but everybody in Canada is absolutely a huge hockey fan. But we were extremely proud of the fact that, yes, we built up our business enough in the United States that we now have a distribution center in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and hopefully we'll be manufacturing product there within the next couple of years, next year or so. Right now we are just using that as a distribution. So we're still manufacturing in Brantford, and then finished goods are trucked down to Bowling Green, and we're trying to fulfill all our U.S. orders out of Bowling Green. But right now we are still shipping both from Brantford and Bowling Green.
Sure. That's exciting. It's exciting. Yay, Kentucky. Wee. I don't know. We can go on the bourbon trail there. That's what I'm yay about. Hey, let's go to the bourbon. So let's go ahead and just jump right on in. Because I think we're actually going to have a good amount of questions come the end on what we're about to talk about. So for those that do know Crown Verity, they probably associate Crown Verity with grills, right? But since the pandemic outbreak, we've sold a lot of something that isn't always associated with Crown Verity. What product is that? And can you tell us how the pandemic has influenced?
Yeah, so many times for years, and we've had hand sinks in our product line for many years, but people really do associate our company with grills because that's where we started. But the hand sinks are a very important and big portion of our overall sales for our company. Since the pandemic started, we were panicking like most companies at the beginning of March, wondering whether or not we were going to be able to continue to operate, if the government in Canada was going to allow us to continue to operate. And very quickly, we had an influx of sales that was extremely refreshing, and it was all hand sinks. So to start with, when they were across the United States and Canada putting up temporary hospitals to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, we were getting orders for hand sinks. After that slowed down, we started very quickly getting orders for hand sinks for anybody who was still operating. And a lot of that was distribution companies, whether that you're an Amazon, a UPS, a FedEx, anybody like that. If you had a distribution center and you were still trying to keep everything going, and those companies' sales were flourishing, they were ordering sinks like crazy, whether that be from us or anybody else who makes portable hand sinks.
Sure.
From that, it transitioned into the construction industry. And so we weren't aware of it at the time, but very similar to, you have to have a porta potty on a construction site for so many construction workers you have at that site.
Okay.
So the rules and regulations have changed now that you have to get back opened, and on the construction site, you have to have a hand sink. And so, holy cow, we were all of a sudden flooded with construction company orders. And, some of them were from these, big rental companies that, quite frankly, we had never dealt with, places like Sunbelt Rental and places like that.
Right.
And now as that is kind of filtered through, now it's back to what we all do, the food service industry. So as we're talking, as schools are talking about trying to open up in the fall again, we've gotten some tremendous hits from school districts. Just overall, as all businesses, whether you're a local coffee shop, if you're a bar restaurant, and you're moving a lot more of your operation outside, they're looking for hand sinks to be able to have hand washing, both for the people operating the facility and also their customers. So
Yep.
our hand sinks all of a sudden have gotten to be a tremendous part of our sales every day. Every day. So, and consequently, not just us, but anybody who makes these things is running into some difficulties about trying to keep up with the demand.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So on the screen here, we have some 5 and 10 gallons. Can you kind of take us through those? What options are available?
Yeah. So what's on the screen right now, it historically has been our most popular models. These are all NSF. They're stainless steel. They'll essentially last forever. Every unit, the middle picture actually shows a foot switch. And we get asked this frequently. Can I get a hands-free operation? Quite frankly, you can operate all of these units hands-free. They come with a foot pedal switch. When you step on that switch, you're actually turning the electricity on and off to the unit. So you can see the contents inside of the sinks. There's a 5-gallon freshwater tank, a 7.5-gallon wastewater tank, water heater, water pump. Again, they're all NSF approved. All you have to do is plug it in somewhere. Very easy to lift the containers in and out of the sink. They have a molded in handle into the top. If you can see that in the images, very similar to like, your gas can that you use at home for your lawnmower, etc. But traditionally, these have been what's up there right now is the units that have one freshwater, one wastewater tank are the PHS4. The units that have 2 freshwater and 2 wastewater are the PHS1.
And are they just cold water, Joe?
So each unit can be ordered as cold or hot. So on the units that we just discussed, the stainless units, those are still going to require electricity all of the time because they do have a water pump in them. So even on the cold water version, what you're not getting is just the water heater. And again, a lot of you in the food service industry, it's that, well, I thought you have to have a hot water heater. It typically that's true. Not always, but typically a health inspector is going to want to have a hot water heater. But why we have the cold water heater units is because many of these sinks are now being purchased where they're not for the operator. And so if it's not for the operator, if these are for your patrons or these are for employees, if this is not in a food service application, if this is in a construction zone, if this is at a manufacturer, you don't have to have hot water. And quite frankly, it doesn't need to be NSF approved. They're just looking for a hand wash station. So that's why we have the cold and hot versions. But in the stainless units, those are always going to require electricity.
Good to know. What about the little ones that we saw? There we are.
Okay, so the PHS5, this is a rotomolded plastic unit that we make. It has, on the hot water, it's identical to the stainless units that we just had shown. So they have a freshwater tank, wastewater tank, water heater, water pump. And again, built right into the bottom that you can see that switch again. So again, you're stepping on that, you're turning the electricity on and off to the pump. And so once you have the temperature set on the faucet, you don't have to touch the faucet again. It essentially becomes touchless. The cold water version on this unit has quickly become the most popular unit in our lineup for a number of reasons. One, this one the PHS5C requires no electricity. So this one you can pump with your foot. So very much like a coffee air pot. So there's no water heater, there's no water pump, no electricity required. And there's another unit that we'll discuss briefly. But on these, again, you can take the tanks and lift them out of the unit, which is a very nice feature, because there's another unit that we have, again, very high in demand, but you have to roll the unit to where you're going to fill it up with water or drain the wastewater out of, because the tanks are actually part of the unit. It's built into the unit. So the PHS5C has been extremely popular and in demand. And we're getting orders. I mean, it's really, there hasn't been a day, I don't think, since March 1st that we've had a day where we haven't had orders for PHS5C units.
That's impressive. That is impressive. What was the other unit? Is it the economy version?
The EHS. The EHS. Oh.
Perfect. I don't think we have a picture of it, but.
Oh, I think I that's my fault. But I did that on purpose.
Well, we had one, but
because of the demand of the EHS, they're back ordered till November. So it's so far out that we really, essentially we don't have it. We will have it back hopefully in November.
Perfect. One of the first things I learned as a waiter at the steakhouse was, if you can't sell what you don't have, so don't talk about a special that you've run out of, because
that's my bad on that one.
No, it's on me, but we do have one. Just wait till next year to get it.
Yeah.
So it's about to be 150 degrees outside here in Texas and Oklahoma. But the next product we're going to talk about will probably play a bigger role this upcoming fall and winter than it has in the past, just by what's going on. Can you kind of take us through Crown Verity's Irish product offering, Patio Heaters? Patio Heaters. Patio Heaters.
You know, I think I remember a joke as a kid that what's Irish and stays outside all summer, and it was patio furniture. So
Patio furniture.
There you go, Tug. All right, so our patio heaters. So very much these are as well are in surprisingly very high demand right now, as in most places in the United States. Most cities are being very lax with what the outdoor dining space that they're giving to restaurants to help them try to provide some outdoor seating. I know even where I live, they're opening up parking spots in front of a lot of the restaurants and roping it off and saying, yes, you can put tables out there, where traditionally that would never happen.
Right.
But they're allowing them to put some more and more outdoor seating in place. And I know you said it's going to be 150 degrees, but in most of the United States, the northern half of the United States, you don't, I mean, it could be 90 degrees one day and it'd be 45 the next. And so if you're counting on that outdoor space, that it's driving the demand for these heaters. So
what types of heaters do we have there? Are they all just propane?
So the first three units, traditionally referred to as a mushroom heater. So we have antique bronze, silver vein, stainless steel. Those are LP propane units, and they'll take a 20 or 30 pound propane tank. We do have natural gas heaters as well. We only offer those in stainless steel. And then we have the tower quartz tube heater. And I think you've all seen those. They look really cool. The flame shoots up the middle. They draw a lot of attention. Quite frankly, they don't throw off a lot of heat.
Right, they're form over function.
Function, mushroom heater,
yep.
Wow effect, tower
heater. We get a 10-foot throw. Is that right on the mushroom?
Correct. The mushroom heater, not just 10 feet, but 10 feet all around the unit. So I mean, you'll feel the heat coming off of it if you're 10 feet away. Really, no matter where you're standing away from the unit. On the tower heater, you kind of have to stand next to the unit to feel the heat. But it looks really great. Cool. It looks super cool.
All right, so there's our patio heaters. Sorry, I did one last time. I'm done. I'm done with them. I'm done. So it's a little strange that we've been talking now for 10, 15 minutes about Crown Verity, and we haven't really dove into our bread and butter at all. which are grills and fryers, right? Outdoor grills and fryers. We have a really large breadth of outdoor products, but let's try to hit on the main ideas, main things. The reasons why somebody needs a Crown Verity grill instead of just going to Home Depot or Lowe's and getting a $300 grill. What are those reasons?
So the quick thing I tell people all of the time. So yeah, and you'll get that. What's the difference? I mean, our units are, thousands of dollars. They're a couple of $1,000s on the smallest unit, up to $5,000-6,000 on the bigger units.
Yep.
So the difference is a couple of things. Oh, one, we only make our units one way. They're all 304 stainless steel, so they'll never rust. Our units have a lifetime warranty on the body, a lifetime warranty on the cooking grids, and a 10-year warranty on the burners. The units come fully assembled on a skid. They all have a water pan in them. People would say, why do you put a water pan in the grill? Every gas grill we make, including the built-in units, all have a water pan. So you fill that pan up with water, then as you're cooking, you get a flame that comes off that cooking grid. It'll fall down to the water, extinguish itself. So you should never have a grease fire on the unit, and it makes cleanup much easier. Units are all designed to clean with a pressure washer. They're multi-function, so you can use them as a grill, a griddle, a rotisserie, a smoker, hot food table with the appropriate accessories. But yeah, these are commercial units. We're in the industry. It's very similar to why somebody buys a commercial range for their kitchen and doesn't go buy a Hot Point or Maytag range to put in their commercial kitchen. These are commercial units, and they were designed that way, and they're built that way. So yeah, this is not a Charbroil, a Weber, a residential unit.
Right.
These units are built to last, and they do. We just recently had some pictures sent to us on units that are one unit I was just absolutely amazed at. Obviously, the person does a far better job of maintaining their grill than I ever have, but it was 22 years old, and it looked very similar to the images on the screen.
That's impressive.
Mine doesn't look that way.
When you say, yeah, mine doesn't either. And I don't even have a Crown Verity. Hint, hint. So when you said 304 stainless, that's just like the body, right? Not the inner workings or screws even or pins.
Nope, that's a great question. It's everything. Everything, all the metal is 304 stainless. The hood, every screw, fastener, washer. And if you don't know, in a lot of times people don't know how to tell the difference. You're probably familiar with the magnet test. Take anything that's a magnet, and a refrigerator magnet, a nameplate, anything it's a magnet. A flashlight that has a magnet on it. If you can take that magnet and stick it to the metal, that is a cheap grade of stainless. That will be like 430. If a magnet sticks to it, it will eventually rust. You won't get a magnet to stick to any of our units. That's a quick way to tell the difference, because there's people, when they see stainless, they think all stainless is the same. And as you're probably all well aware, it's not. There's lots of different grades of stainless steel.
Yep. So on this slide and the next slide, we have a bunch of different configurations, but really, can you kind of just talk about how it's pretty much all the same thing? It's just depending on the size, it's going to be how many burners, and then why some have a hood, some don't, things like that. So that's a sexy looking install there.
Yeah, so we have, when it comes to gas grills, consider that no matter what your customer is asking for, highly likely we have an answer for them. So, if they're hooking the unit up to bulk propane, to natural gas, a built-in unit like is shown right now, we have mobile grills, we have tabletop grills, we have built-in grills, we have essentially every style and model and size of gas grills that anybody might ask for.
Right.
So, and built-in grills that are shown on the screen right now. Again, anytime somebody's building a grill into a counter like is shown, or an island, you need to use a built-in grill. That's what these are designed for. And don't ever let your customer say, well, I'm going to just take the legs off of this, that, or the other thing and build it in. Don't do that. Again, I always compare it to like A floor oven. You don't take the legs off of a floor oven and stick it in the wall. Don't do it. It won't work.
Fingers crossed. So like with this, I think I see griddles and charbroilers. Is that a totally different unit? Do you have to buy a charbroiler and a griddle, or is there any kind of mixing?
No, it's again a fantastic question from a fantastic individual who's highly intelligent. His name is Tug.
All right, Joe's coming back every week. Done. Let's just book him. It's going to be Joe.
These are our griddles. Quite frankly, are nothing more than a grill with a griddle plate slid on top. That griddle plate slides on and off of the unit, just like the hood slides on and off of the unit. So you might ask, why do you do this? So for many, many years, we didn't promote the product as a griddle. We just explained to people that it's a grill and you have this griddle plate that you can slide on. So the year we did this, and we actually came up with model numbers, and we put this in auto quotes, our griddle sales went up by 700%. Just because if you searched mobile griddle, it came up as a griddle. And guess what? Been in the product line and in our catalog ever since.
Smart move. Smart move. So one last product we want to hit before we are done. Let's see, it's going to be, well, two last products, I guess, sorry. The fryer and then also the pizza.
Yeah, the fryer is, again, being in the industry, we know the most popular indoor fryer is a 35, 40-pound standalone fryer. Mm-hmm. That's all this is. It's a standalone 35, 40-pound fryer built into a cabinet or a cart that is transportable. So this is no different than a Vulcan tube fryer, a Pitco tube fryer. It is a tube fryer. It's not like a Frymaster fryer. Right. It's a tube fryer. But the fryers have been a tremendous addition to our product line, and we offer it, as you see, in a single and a double. But it's no different.
Say no different, you're talking about the function of it, right? But as far as if you just put casters on a Dean Super Runner 35 or whatever they call it, I can't remember anymore. They can tip over very easily. They're not designed to be over the road, right?
Correct. So yes. So the function of it, right? It function, size, capacity, construction, thermostatically controlled, 35, 40-pound fryer. But that's exactly why we did put it into a cabinet. It's extremely stable. And quite frankly, that's why people buy it. Traditionally, that's exactly what people did do before something like this was available. They're taking an indoor standalone fryer, putting it on 4 casters and hooking it up to a propane tank, which is, quite frankly, is very dangerous. It's not set up that way. And quite frankly, they don't last long at all. They're not designed to be moved around outside. They're all just put together with sheet metal screws. So this is all welded into a cabinet. Again, very robust, structurally extremely sound, and designed to be moved around and rolled around outside.
So let's quickly hit on the pizza because we're running late, and that's my fault because I keep asking questions. I'm sorry. But let's talk about pizza.
This is the newest line item added into the Crown Verity product offering, but these are mobile outdoor pizza ovens. Here we do have a tabletop version, the mobile unit, and then like the grills, just a unit that comes with the 30-pound horizontal tanks underneath of it. But this is very much like your indoor deck oven. So it has a stone deck. The deck is actually made out of lava rock. They're individual 12-inch tiles, so they're easy to lift in and out for cleaning. But this is very much like your indoor deck oven. What's not shown in these images is there is an inner shelf. So depending on the dough, the water content of the dough, the thickness of the dough, take some time to kind of dial it in based on what you're cooking, as far as how long you're leaving it on the stones versus where you lift it up and put it on that inner shelf to melt the toppings. Because sometimes the crust can get done a little bit quicker than you want it to, and where the toppings aren't melting. So there's an inner shelf which helps you be able to work the oven. Which is
a really common thing for the ceramic ovens, the wood stones, the earth stones, style beer form or whatever, where you have a cooking zone and then you have a finishing zone. It's kind of that same idea.
Exactly. The one thing I would say, we can't emphasize this enough. We have some videos on our website, but unlike a grill, this pizza oven, again, very much like an indoor deck oven, you really have to preheat it. I mean, you can cook on one of our gas grills in 5 to 7 minutes, and it's at like max temperature. This takes like 45 to 50 minutes to preheat those stones to get it to the temperature you want to cook at.
It's a good note. It's a good note. All right, so that brings us to the end. Let's brings us to some questions and answer. So feel free to either unmute or ask away in the chat, but feel free to ask questions. We are an open book. Not everybody wants slow down. I was expecting a lot of questions.
How many pizzas can you do in one of those, and how quickly?
A great question. And again, I would say it varies depending on the thickness of the crust, but I can say on average, probably plan on 6 to 8 minutes. We've had people do as short as 2 to 3 minutes, but that's almost like a flatbread kind of a thing. Traditionally, Walt, you're probably looking at 6 to 8 minutes a pizza. And that's based on like a 10 to 12 inch personal size pizza.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right. Any more? That's it. All right. Let's go ahead and go to the question of the week. So those who might be new, we have a question of the week every tug time. The winner, the first person to reply with the correct answer, will win a $50 gift card to their local restaurant, hangout, whatever it might be, right? Like that, maybe it's a bar, but as long as it's a food service, right? Ooh.
Mr. Chef?
Yes, sir.
Chef? You may see a text there from Chris saying that you have to run the presentation.
Oh, dear.
I think he zoomed out.
All right, let's see.
What?
It won't request control. It won't let me share because he's sharing. So Dixie, you have to have him stop.
We're just going to have to ask the question, I think.
I can ask the question. I mean, that's really the last thing, right? But so tugtime@millerequip.com is the email address to send it to. And the question this time, so I've been doing some really easy ones. I started off pretty hard and people stopped answering, and now some of the easy ones folks have stopped answering. So we're going back to not so much hard, but I need you to go find it. There's something that we very specifically decided not to talk about today, and it's something that I want you're gonna have to probably do a Google search. So ready? The question of the day is, what kind of trailers does Crown Verity offer? And it's trailers. Okay, so get that to tugtime@millerequip.com. It's 234, 233.
Do they do movie previews?
Those kind of trailers, you're exactly right. In a world where you need pizza quickly for...
If you need to sear your beef.
Yeah. In a
I
world
went kind
where you
of
don't want a fryer to tip over. All
I
right.
went heavy smoker rather than cool voice guy.
And you know, we have a smoker accessory for the grills too.
Ooh.
And charcoal, and there's lots. If you guys have any questions, reach out to any one of us, Joe, myself, your rep, whomever. We got lots of options there. So we're going to do the interesting fact of the day, and I'm going to try to go through this, and I like to try to stay on topic, right? So this one is going to be, when did we first start cooking things on a fire? So it is Homo sapiens date back to about 300, 400,000 years ago, round thereof, right? Neanderthals, a little bit longer, 400 to 500,000 years ago. The use of fire for cooking, there are sites that date back to 400,000 years ago that show obvious evidence of fires being kept and cooking of food in those. Some sites are older. There's one that's 780,000 years old in Israel. There's another one in Spain that's 800,000 years old. They indicate fire use, but not fire creation. So we're thinking the Neanderthals and or Homo sapiens obtained fire from wildfire and then just kept it going.
Taking advantage of nature's lightning, nature's fire starter.
True. There is some conflicting evidence otherwise, and maybe we'll get into that. So Neanderthals use fire, but not on a consistent basis. There are some sites with enormous amounts of ash, which obviously imply that they kept the fire going, like I just said. There is evidence that they certainly used fire also for tool making. They made a sap or resin, really, out of birch. They made birch tar, is what it was called, or what it is called. I don't know what their language was back then, so I don't know what the word was for it or the sound. Conversely, though, there is evidence that they use manganese oxide, dioxide, excuse me, for paint. And at one site in France, they have found really unusually large amounts of them. And it is a common chemical, as it were, compound of fireworks. It would take the starting point of wood from 350 centigrade down to 250. So it would be a lot easier to start if you sprinkled some of this on top. So, and they are known to have had holistic remedies and whatnot. So let's see, what else was there? Almost done. There's a number of, in France, they found a number of hand axe tools that have strike marks on them, consistent with the strike method for fires, right? So like the flint strikes that you probably know of. And these are 50,000 years old, and they're certain that it's a Neanderthal site. So at least 50,000 years ago, they are shown to be able to start fires. All this to say, it is clear that as far back as at least 400,000 years ago, there are hearths inside a cave. It's clear that some hominin, which is us and our evolutionary ancestors, were controlling fire to use to keep warm and to cook food. They also figured out that you can boil water in a flammable container. So you can do this too if you wanted to. You could literally boil water in a plastic bottle. As long as it's high enough over the flame, you can boil water in that. It'll start to misshape the bottle, but the water is going to keep the bottle from melting and getting to its ignition point, but it'll still allow enough to get the water boiling. So they're pretty certain they had stews and soups and things like that to be able to cook the meat. That's why their teeth went down over 100,000, 200,000 years from much larger teeth to smaller teeth like what we have, because you're not having to hammer through raw product. That's what I'm here for, guys. All right, so Joe, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. We are way late. I apologize again. I promise we're not going to do it this late next time. Next time we do have Lancer on Tuesday. So we have another Lancer we're hitting, and we're going to hit something very specific with it. But that makes me, I am done. I'm finished. I am finished with Tug Time, and I hope it was as good for you as we said it would be. Joe, thank you very much. Really
Thank you, Joe.
We'll see you guys
Thanks,
Tuesday.
everybody.